Making stuffed pasta at home is typically considered difficult and time-consuming. Well, I'm here to tell you it's really not that hard. Yes, there are some steps involved, but it's so worth it. Today, I'm going to walk you through how to make handmade ravioli at home. To start, add some olive oil to a fry pan over medium heat. For this video, I'm going to prepare a sausage, spinach, and ricotta filling. Once the oil's hot, add 2 ounces or 57 grams of diced yellow onion. Sauté those onions until they start to show some color, then stir in 1 finely minced garlic clove. Cook the mixture for a minute or 2, then hit the pan with a little bit of white wine, about a couple tablespoons worth. This step will keep the garlic from burning and provide some acidity to the filling. When the wine is mostly reduced, add 8 ounces or 227 grams of loose, mild Italian sausage to the pan. Break up the meat with a spatula and mix everything together. Continue cooking the meat until all the pink is gone and the sausage is completely cooked through. Next, add 5 ounces or 142 grams of fresh spinach to the pan. Move it around to help it wilt faster and to mix it into the sausage, onions, and garlic. Once the spinach is totally wilted, transfer the filling to a small baking sheet or plate and let it cool off completely. I usually throw it in the fridge for about 30 minutes or so. Okay, time to break out your food processor. Now, it's totally fine if you don't have one. Just finely chop the sausage mixture before adding the following ingredients, which are 4 1/4 ounces or 120 grams, or about a half a cup of fresh ricotta cheese, 1 ounce, 28 grams, or about 1/4 cup of Parmesan cheese, a fat pinch, or about a half teaspoon of salt, some freshly ground black pepper, and about 1/8 of a teaspoon of ground nutmeg. Process the filling until it's finer in texture. This step makes it a lot easier to use for stuffed pasta. Place the filling in a container and chill it until you're ready to form the ravioli. Pour 300 grams, 10½ ounces, or about 2 cups of 00 flour onto a work surface and make a deep well in the center. All-purpose flour works too if that's all you have. Now pour in a mixture of 2 whole eggs and 5 yolks. More yolks give you a delicate texture and the whites help with extensibility. Add a pinch of fine sea salt along with 1 teaspoon or 3 grams of extra virgin olive oil. Grab a fork and begin to incorporate the flour into the egg mixture, making sure you don't break the wall of flour surrounding the liquids, or you can have quite a mess to manage. When you have something that resembles a paste, ditch the fork and work the wet ingredients into the remaining flour with a dough scraper. If you don't have one, no big deal, just use your hands. Eventually, the dough is going to look kind of shaggy. Keep kneading it by pressing down and away, then rotate and repeat. After 4 to 5 minutes of kneading, the pasta dough should take on a smooth and silky texture. At this point, form it into a ball, wrap it in some plastic film, and let the dough rest for about 30 minutes to an hour at room temperature. Alright, let's make some pasta sheets. So set up your rolling machine and make sure that it's set to number 1, which should be the widest setting. Grab the dough and cut off about 1/3 of it, and keep the rest wrapped in plastic film so it doesn't form a skin and dry out. Use your hands, or a rolling pin if you have one, to flatten out the dough a bit. This will make it easier for you to pass it through the rollers. Turn the machine on and start feeding the dough through the rollers lengthwise. Be very careful and keep your fingers and sleeves at a distance from the machine when it's on. Run the dough through the first few settings until it's long enough to fold the sheet a few times. It should be almost as wide as the rollers are at this point. Flatten the sheet of dough out with your fingers. Give it a quick hit of flour on both sides, then start rolling out the dough from the first setting again. Run the sheet through the rest of the settings until you reach number 6 or 7. Usually I stop at 6, but it really depends on the machine. Most importantly, the pasta sheet, when done, should just be about the same width as the rollers. For my machine, that's about 5 to 6 inches or 13 to 15 centimeters. When one sheet is complete, dust it with some semolina flour. Fold it up and store it under slightly damp paper towels, a rag, or some plastic film until you've finished rolling out the rest of the dough. Now that all the fresh pasta is rolled out, take a piece and fold it in half lengthwise to mark the center of the sheet. Add small amounts of filling in 2 rows from one end of the sheet to the other. Space the mounds about 3/4 of an inch apart, and that's 19 millimeters in metric for all you folks outside the U.S. For a visual reference, the portion of the filling should be about the size of half a ping pong ball. Next, brush the pasta sheet with egg wash. This is the glue that will hold the ravioli together when you cook it. You can also spray the sheet with water, but I found that egg wash forms a stronger bond between the layers of pasta. Take the empty side of the pasta sheet and lay it over the side with the filling. Gently press around the mounds of filling to form a tight seal so that no water can get in when you boil the ravioli. This is a very important step, okay? Next, grab a ring mold or a drinking glass and place it over each mound of filling and work in a circular motion while gently pressing down on the pasta. This will help seal the pasta right up to the edge of the filling. Next, use a knife or a pastry wheel and trim off the rough edge of the pasta sheet like I'm doing here. This step just cleans up the ravioli and it makes it look a little bit more professional. Run the cutter down the middle of the row, then between each column of filling to form individual raviolo. When done, your ravioli should look like this. Man, I love how that fluted pastry cutter gives the pasta a nice decorative edge. Go ahead and place the ravioli on a floured sheet tray. You can freeze them as is at this point, then bag them up or cook them straight away. When cooking, boil the ravioli in salted water in batches if necessary. I'm going to cook a single serving for this video. Gently stir the pasta when they go in, just to make sure they don't stick together, and then boil them for 3 or 4 minutes until the pasta is tender. At this point, get your sauce ready. Here, I'm using my San Marzano tomato sauce recipe, and I always add some of the salty, starchy pasta water just to thin the sauce out a little. When the pasta is tender, transfer it to the pan with the simmering sauce. Swirl the pan around a little just to get those ravioli nice and covered with sauce. I always cook the pasta and sauce together just for a minute or two before plating. Adjust the seasoning if necessary, then it's time to eat. And to finish off the dish, cover the ravioli with some freshly grated Parmesan cheese. Yum. Well, I hope you learned something from this video. Hit me in the comments with any questions that you might have, and thanks for watching.